But starting tonight at Madison Square Garden, they'll use other things besides chairs as they determine who goes to the NBA Finals. Now, joining us right now, to me, he is the face of Knick fandom, the host of KnicksFanTV, and my understanding is he's going to be in the building tonight. CP the Fanchise. How are we feeling hours before Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals?
My guys, man, first off, pleasure to be on with you, man. Mr. Barber, what's going on? What's really good?
CP.
All good, man. I'm feeling great, man. You know, gray outside, but it's always orange and blue skies. And listen, if the Knicks don't win this series, Evan, it'll be the Knicks fans catching Haliburton with chairs outside. So don't worry, man. There will be plenty of chair shots to go around.
First of all, before we look ahead to this series, were you surprised at all with the just lethal domination the Knicks put together in Game 6, taking the Celtics apart and leaving absolutely no doubt?
Well, Evan, as you heard on Game 5 post-game show, because I'm sure you were watching when we lost to the Celtics, that's how I opened the show, you know, looking for that Knicks killer instinct. When are you going to actually come out and put on a 48-minute clinic? And that's exactly what they did. And we heard from, shout out to Fred Katz, who covers the Knicks for The Athletic. He talked about the fact that these guys had the players-only meeting after Game 5 to get on the same page. And, man, they came out with a two-way masterclass. Their defense was on a string. They went to Karl-Anthony Towns early, which was the expectation of many of us. Deuce McBride off the bench, Mitchell Robinson smothering these guys, Brunson, Hart. You know, you had 6 Knicks in double figures, man. That night, I thought that was the makings of a championship team.
I mean, why couldn't they had that meeting like Game 3 or something like that? Do it a little bit earlier. Look, CP, you just brought up two guys. One, obviously, Deuce, who's coming off the bench, but also Cat. And Evan and I were just talking about this because of how Cat was bad from three-point range. Obviously, one of the best bigs shoots threes in this game, but he was bad from three. 3 of 19, I think, in that Boston Celtics series. But of those two, which one is more critical to be for this Knicks team to get a win and get to the NBA Finals?
Man, you know what? I would love to say Towns, but with the Knicks starting 5, you have a lot of guys that can get you buckets. Obviously, starting with Brunson, you have Mikal Bridges, who's starting to step up. OG Anunoby, when he does score in the 20s, they typically win.
Right.
And Josh Hart can get it going, and he's triple-double capable. But for the bench, they need Deuce McBride to be the guy who we saw against the Celtics. The Pacers bench is averaging like 30 points per game in these playoffs. I mean, they are deep. You have T.J. McConnell, who schooled Deuce McBride last year in their semifinals matchup. Now Benedict Mathurin is there, so they have a lot of firepower on the bench. I think McBride is going to be very important for the Knicks in this series.
We were just talking about this before because, like Indiana has numerous guys, to me, I look at the Knicks bench, and it has to be Deuce McBride because it's not going to be anyone else. It's not like Landry Shamet's getting big minutes. It's not like DeLon's going to get into the game. It's not like, we're going to see efforts from anyone else from this bench. So to me, it's almost Deuce has to be that guy because we're not going to see Tom Thibodeau go deeper into the bench if it isn't Deuce McBride.
Yeah, he has to. And I don't think Tibbs will make that adjustment unless things are going awry, later into the series. But if it's not Deuce, look, with campaign, he's flip of a coin. Is he hot within the first 5 minutes? Is he making good decisions? Okay, if not, then he's got to sit for the rest of the game. But I wouldn't mind Tibbs giving Landry Shamet a shot or even Delon Wright. I mean, the Pacers have several guard forward hybrids, speed, athleticism, good defensive players. So I wouldn't mind seeing either Shamet or Wright get some minutes in the series.
Now, do you think he would, though? Because we haven't seen either guy. I mean, Delon Wright actually was sort of impressive at times when we saw him in the regular season, but any sign that Tom Thibodeau would open up that bench a little bit more in this series?
I think he might, just from a situational standpoint. Same thing that he did with Payne. And with Payne, if he has it going, then okay, you can stay in. But if not, the wrinkle that I did like that Tibbs went with was that he ran the offense with Mikal Bridges out there and just didn't even waste his time with the backup point guard. But with the Pacers being able to grind you down, just like Kenny Atkinson admitted in the Cavs series, I think to keep guys fresh, Tibbs is going to have to look that way.
Now, we talk confidence and how you feel about this series, but Evan and I started our show talking about how this Knicks team is a favorite against the Indiana Pacers. They have the odds. They have the better stars. You're talking from an elite, high-level stars. Obviously, the Pacers have depth, but if they lose this series, this can't be looked at as hey, we got to the Eastern Conference Finals. What a successful season. At this point, it almost is an expectation that they should win.
And it's funny how things change, right? I was on with you guys and say, hey, if they lose to the Celtics, nothing to be ashamed about. But now that they've moved the Celtics out the way and you don't have the number one Cleveland Cavaliers, who many thought were also better than the Knicks at this point, now you got to get to the finals. Now you have to get past this Indiana team. It won't be easy, but I'm picking the Knicks as the favorite. Right now, I think they are a team of destiny, fellas, and I think they will get to OKC to get to the finals.
No, it feels like everybody is. It feels like the Knicks are like the nation's pick now to knock off Indiana. You mentioned the defense, especially in Game 6. The communication was great. We saw the best of what this Knicks defense can be, what we envisioned they could be when you added Mikal Bridges. Are you concerned that it's been so start and stop with this defense in the series against Boston, from the really good to the really bad, to the lack of urgency and the lack of communication, and now you're facing an Indiana team different than Boston? They've got great ball movement. They pass better than anybody. They run a high-octane offense. Do you expect the best of the Knicks defense, or do you think we're going to see kind of the same inconsistencies we've seen throughout this postseason?
No, I think it's going to be the former. I think we've seen the adjustment, especially going into the Boston series. I expected them to do a lot heavy switching, especially with a three-point shooting team like that. Right. They had to play like a different team, and they did. They made that adjustment. Yeah, things fell off the wagon in Game 5, and they had one of those off nights. But one thing about the Knicks, fellas, in this entire playoff is that they haven't lost 2 games in a row.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And typically, sometimes it's not going to be your night, but they make the correction the next night, and they typically play much better. Against Indiana, are they going to be switching as much as Boston? Maybe not. They're going to have to deploy a multitude of looks. Mikal Bridges' role on Tyrese Haliburton is going to be pretty vital, and how they cover the pick-and-pop situation with Miles Turner is also going to be very important. But I think these guys know what they're up against, and they know that their communication and their rotations are going to have to be on point against this Indiana team.
Hey, CP, let's get to your real area of expertise, and that is the Knicks fan. What's the Knicks fan feeling right now? Is there the confidence that we were just alluding to, or is there a nervousness? I mean, it's most young fans don't know what the hell this is. You know what I mean? It's been so long since they've been at this stage. What is the confidence level, and what's the energy going to be like there tonight?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. Shout out to my guy, Anthony. He just hit me up. He said, bro, I'm nervous. I can't even go to work. So, you got people that can't even concentrate.
Right.
But then, look, it's just a lot of excitement, man. And I'm very happy for the younger generation to experience long-term stability with this franchise in the Brunson era. They've taken a level up every year, it seems like, under Rose and Tibbs, and now with Brunson in the fold. And, this is what people on the world stage, I've been telling people all the time, the Knicks fan is the best fan in sports. That's not just homerism or the pom-poms. It's legit, and you're seeing it with how things are spilling out onto 7th Avenue. We're damn near having, parades getting out of the second round, and it's fantastic, man. It's the right energy. During the COVID time, that New York City was a barren wasteland, fellas, and spillouts really started when they started letting the fans back into the Garden in that 2021 or 1920 playoff, I forget which one, when they started letting the fans back in, that's when the outside celebration started, and it's carried over to today. So it's real cool to see.
Can we stop the F. Trae Young chants, though? I mean, that's got to go. Who cares about Trae Young?
Yeah, I'm not with that, man. That's kind of like that youngster side talk energy. I really don't think he's not even relevant.
I know.
Trae Young has not been relevant to the Knicks. They got to be worried about Haliburton.
Exactly. He should be the new enemy. And it seems like he wants to embrace being that heel. He wants to be the Reggie Miller. He goes on SmackDown.
But he's not mean enough. He's not mean enough, though. I don't think he has I don't think he actually has it in him to be the heel.
Yeah. This new generation of NBA guys, they're all buddy. So, he doesn't really have that, but he's built like Reggie. They got, that string bean look to him. You know what I mean? So he's kind of like the reincarnate of Reggie. But, look, man, with 9 assists per game, and he's gotten a little clutch factor to him. It's got to start there. That's where the Knicks have to be strong, finding ways to make him uncomfortable, turn him into a scorer where he's not out there just, switching and dishing and diming guys up. It's got to start with Haliburton. The defense has to be on point for them to win this series.
Besides Haliburton, who's the engine of this offense, what concerns you the most about this Indiana team? I mean, everybody can shoot. Miles Turner's having a tremendous season. They're getting great shooting out of Nesmith so far here in this postseason and Nembhard. But if you had to pick one thing about this Pacer team that probably gives you most concern or pause going into this series, what is it?
Don't sleep on Andrew Nembhard, man. Do not sleep on Andrew Nembhard. Outside of Haliburton, the Nembhard-Turner pick and roll has been the best in the playoffs. And so that's the thing. Nembhard, he's just part of one of many different ball handlers that the Pacers can deploy out there. And it's why their offense is so dangerous, because in one possession, they can be running 4 to 5 different actions until they get the shot that they want. So the Knicks defense has to, number one, start with their individual effort. And number two, their communication and their rotations are going to have to be sound, because Indiana comes at you in waves. And Andrew Nembhard, who's a capable scorer and a clutch scorer as well, he's hurt the Knicks last year in their semifinals matchup, and he can do it again if the Knicks aren't careful.
You think this extra, what is it, 3 days over the Knicks rest for the Pacers, because they last played 8 days ago? And the Knicks, it's 4 days rest that they've had.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad for them, you think?
For the Knicks or the Pacers?
For the Pacers.
I hope it's bad, because they're the most efficient team in the playoffs right now. I mean, they have multiple guys averaging double figures. Their passing statistics are off the charts in the playoffs. So I'm hoping the longer layoff by them contributes to a little bit of rust tonight. Game 1 is going to be very important for the Knicks. They need to win this game regardless. But you got to hope that between their good defense, a better defensive Knicks effort, and maybe some time off, that this Pacer shooting can cool off, because right now they've been hot.
Well, you say game 1's important. I always hear this voice in my head. Joe Beningo would always say before every Knicks series that begins at home, they better win game. If they've never won a series where they lose game 1 at home, bro. And it is true. They have never won a series in which they've lost game 1 at home. So, yes, they better win tonight is the moral of the story.
Absolutely right. And they've won game 1 against the Pistons. They won game 1 against the Celtics and advanced past both of them. And if you go back to the last, or the second to last playoff series between these guys, when it was Carmelo and those guys, they lost that game 1 to the Pacers at home. And I thought that was the one that they couldn't afford, and ultimately ended up, how they ended up losing this series. So I expect a good effort in front of a raucous crowd tonight. And I'm expecting the Knicks victory, man.
Let me ask you about Bridges, because throughout this season, and you certainly took a lot of calls on it and talked a lot about it on KnicksFanTV throughout the regular season, he was, for the most part, during the regular season, a disappointment. What has changed? How has it changed in which Mikal Bridges has been, to most Knicks fans, a success here in this postseason, especially with the way he has stepped up late in games? How has it changed for Mikal Bridges from regular season Bridges, where he was taking a lot of heat, to what we've seen over this 12-game stretch?
Yeah, I think his intensity is just ratcheted up, man. I mean, this is a guy leading the playoffs in steals right now. He had the clutch steal against Jaylen Brown. He had a couple of nice defensive plays in the Pistons series as well. And look, maybe during the regular season, this is a guy who, he's the NBA's leading Iron Man right now. Maybe he understands that he has to pace himself accordingly, especially when he's playing under Tom Thibodeau. You remember the comments that he made about Tibbs not going to the bench and playing the starters. So maybe he's a guy who, knowing his body, knows that what he needs to do to get to this point. And yes, based on the ire of Knicks fans, that's not always going to be acceptable, because we want you to go pedal to the metal every game, including the preseason. But look, give him credit. He's got championship pedigree carried over from Nova. He's been to the NBA Finals, and so he has the experience. And he's carrying it forward now, man. He's really earned his stripes in these playoffs with the great defense and clutch fourth quarter scoring. He's been great for the Knicks, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, his imploring of Tom Thibodeau to play more of the bench guys didn't really help when the season was mostly over. But again, I think that actually has benefited the Knicks because they're conditioned to play these massive amounts of minutes that they've been logging throughout the regular season and in the postseason. But that brings me to Tibbs and Rick Carlisle. The coaching advantage probably leans a little bit towards the Pacers, but I feel like the adaptability that Tibbs has kind of shown, especially against the Celtics, it's hard to say who has the advantage coaching-wise. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, going into the Celtics series, you thought it was all Missoula until it was. We saw that Tibbs schooled him in a number of ways. Number one, in their defensive scheme, the way that he deployed Mitchell Robinson and really countering the hack-a-Mitch situation. The Knicks were able to come out of that pretty well. And so, look, I think Tibbs has shown us a lot in terms of his adaptability in this series, and he's going to need to do it again against this Pacer offense. So I give him a lot of credit. Where I thought his job security was on the line coming into these playoffs, I now look at it as pretty secure. And especially if he gets to the finals, he'll be locked in, man. Tibbs has done a good job so far.
Which guy, Carlisle or Thibodeau, rips and winds the officials first? Who takes the first crack at it? Carlisle, yeah. Does he follow the same script as last year's CP and say, we're a small market team, they're being mean to us?
It was like Phil Jackson-esque, man. It was brutal. But yeah, listen, man, you can put it in the book that if the Knicks win tonight, he'll make that call for game 2. Game 2 will be called a little bit tighter as they try to get the team that's losing back into the series. I always wear my tinfoil hat around like game 2 and elimination nights.
Yes.
In terms of the free throw discrepancy, it works like clockwork.
It tends to work that way. You're right. So officially, you are picking Knicks in 6.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going with Knicks in 6, man.
Knicks in 6.
I'm going it. Wow. I'm going to that's the loogie prediction. That's what we're calling.
That's right. That's the loogie. All right. So you're gonna be in the building tonight. How excited are you personally? Because did you get to go to any of the conference finals games 25 years ago and 26 years ago? Is this your first?
No, I did not. Super excited. But first, we are starting at the watch party. Hopefully you guys can come.
So you're going watch party into the arena? Take me through your night.
Into the arena, yeah. So how the night is going to work is I'll be headed over to Slate. And I'll get there around 6 o'clock. We got former Knick, Baron Davis, coming in for a pregame show and meet and greet. And then we'll head over to the Garden around like 7:15, man. Yeah, so very, very excited about it. My first conference final attending. And, again, just a great time to be a Knicks fan.
Well, best of luck, CP. We'll talk to you a lot more as this run continues. Have fun tonight, my friend.
Yes, sir. Fellas, appreciate it, man.
Thank you, good, brother. CP, the franchise, game 1 tonight.